such an amazing role in our party and our party's politics and what's to come. I know you guys all saying you guys are getting ready for the debate tonight. You guys all rammed up and saying, listen, we're ready to see Donald Trump in action and we're ready to see Sleepy Joe sleep. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see. I saw Joe Biden on the tarmac a couple of minutes ago, and I was saying to myself, I said, I hope he has enough energy because he's shaking a lot of hands there. I hope he has enough energy to make it through the debate tonight. But just talking about where we are and a little bit about the Black Conservative Federation. So, as the president of the Black Conservative Federation, I have the honor of helping to elevate and to expand the Republican Party, expanding the Republican Party and diversifying the Republican Party, not just through color, not just through increasing Black faces, but increasing the diversity of thought and backgrounds and being able to introduce people who've never been introduced to the Republican Party to the Republican Party, introducing them to the values. And believe it or not, introducing people to a party that they actually belong at. I believe, and I say this all the time, that a Black conservative is someone who dares to believe the teachings of their grandparents. It's as simple as that. The teachings of their grandparents is nothing complicated, nothing weird or anything. It's just people who dare to believe the teachings of their grandparents, people who dare to believe in free enterprise and limited government and common sense regulation, people who dare to stand for the sanctity and dignity of life, people who dare to believe that the American dream is accessible to everyone and that the Republican Party is the party of opportunity. And so I love to use the GOP for the Grand Opportunity Party. They used to say the Grand Old Party, but I love to label the GOP as the Grand Opportunity Party. And the reason that is because I believe that the GOP gives an opportunity to so many people. The GOP gave an opportunity to a young Illinois boy at the age of 14 to get involved in politics, to knock some doors and to stuff some envelopes. And at 28 years old, I can tell you that this party has allowed me such opportunity that I can't even imagine. I lost you guys somehow. Sorry, that I can't even imagine. And that's because of the people in the party, what this party possesses, and also the values of education, the values of being a college Republican and when I was in college, being a teenage Republican in high school. I tell people all the time that I've got to experience every part except for being a 80-year-old Republican, and that happened. But I've got to experience almost every part of this party, serving as a field director, serving as a field staffer, serving as a political director, serving as a campaign manager, general consultant, being the candidate, being a precinct committee man, going to the convention. I've got to experience so much just because of the opportunities that has been allowed to us through this party. And so the Black Conservative Federation is to increase that and give that opportunity to millions of other people. Every year we reach over 2,000 Black conservatives and counting, just basically through our social media engagement, basically through our event engagement. And we are growing and we bring people, we every year we have interns, and our interns become assistants, and the assistants become chief of staffs, and they not only just stay with our organization, but they go and they work on Capitol Hill, they go and work in the White House, they go and work in state parties, they become state party chairs, they become vice chairs. And we have that opportunity here at the Black Conservative Federation to introduce people to the party, teach them the policy, teach them the politics, and get them immediately involved in what's to come. And so I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that, but also I am excited to be a conservative. believing in these issues and fighting for these issues and fighting for these principles. But while I'm excited, I also know the reality is that we're in trouble. We're in trouble because we have a country that is being led by people who truly do not care for America, but truly do not care for the future of our country. We have a country that's being ran by people who don't care about our education system, who don't care that we have reading levels in high school at a fourth grade level. We have high schoolers that are reading at a fourth grade level. We have people that are graduating high school that cannot read a chapter book with 10 chapters in it, and people that cannot do basic math. And that's an issue. We have a country where if you walk outside of your home, and depending on where you live, that you have illegal immigrants walking up and down the street, and the safety of our country. And they're taking over jobs, and they're pretty much taking over areas, and our communities don't feel safe. We have a country where if you go to the grocery store, you're going to pay $30 for a family pack of chicken wings. You're going to go to the grocery store, you're going to pay, you used to be able to pay, I think lemons and limes were about $10. I mean, you get 10 for $1. Now you pay probably $1 each for those limes, so 50 cents each for those limes. But when you go to the gas pump, your gas, the gasoline bill is no longer $40 or $30. You're paying $80 or $90 just to get to and from work. We're in trouble. We're in trouble, and unfortunately, we just don't have leadership to understand that. And the longer we keep Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in office, is the longer we experience this. I was just in California, and I was looking at the gas prices in California. The gas prices was almost $6 a gallon. And yet California still votes Democrat. And I just can't for the life of me understand, why do we keep doing this to ourselves? I believe that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Expecting a different result. And that's what we're doing. And so I'm here to talk to you guys about what's to come. What's our next steps? How do we fix this? And we fix this by having conversations like this, but we also fix this by not just me talking to you guys, but by each person on here. There's 25 people here. By each of you guys having these conversations with your neighbors, having these conversations with your coworkers, having these conversations with your family members. And listen, I know it's tough. I know that they're going to argue with you. I know they're going to tell you that, oh, you're racist, oh, you're misogynist, oh, you're this, you're that, but you have to tell them that I'm an American and I'm tired of facing these problems. And that's why I'm fighting for President Donald Trump. That's why I'm fighting to make sure that we are changing the roles and changing parties in all of these areas. I'm talking about people in North Carolina that's on this call, making sure that we elect Mark Robinson, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, to the governorship in North Carolina, so that North Carolina does not become New York. Making sure in Virginia that we continue to elect conservatives in districts like Virginia 7. Making sure that in places like Illinois and places like Michigan and California, New York, that we show the Democratic Party that we're no longer a automatic vote. That we show them that, listen, you have to earn the vote, and we're going to fight every day. I believe that Chicago will definitely surprise the Democratic Party. They're sick and tired. They are sick and tired of not being saved. They're sick and tired of the illegal immigrants taking over, and they're sick and tired of horrible leadership. They hit Lori Lightfoot to get something even worse with Brandon Johnson, and they're tired of that. They're tired of their governor not taking it serious and trying to focus on his political future than focusing on the future of their children in the state. And so I'm encouraging everyone that's listening to fight hard. I'm encouraging you guys are a powerful voice. I don't think you guys know this, but you guys are a powerful voice. Women are the most powerful voice in America, and your voice is more powerful than mine. It's talking to everyone around the country, letting them know that we are in trouble, letting them know that it's time to get to the polls, letting them know to vote early. We have to push people voting early. In 2020, we didn't push people to get to the polls early. The Democrats beat us there. We have to get people to the polls extremely early. Voting starts for a lot of people in September. We need to make sure that we have a crowd there. We got to send everyone to the polls. This is a national disaster. Right now, we have a national disaster in the White House, and therefore we are all equipped to change it. We need your help. We need all of your help to change it. And so that's one big thing. If you live in a state there's ballot harvesting, participate in the ballot harvesting. If you live in a state where mail-in voting exists, make sure you participate and make sure people vote in mail-in, send in mail-in ballots. We have to play their game just as much. We cannot leave anything unturned. Right now, I'm in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and we're in Montgomery County, and we're knocking doors, and we're knocking doors early, and we're reaching out to voters and saying, listen, we got to reach out to voters. We listen, we have an issue right now. The education system in our country has went to hell. Our economy has went to hell. Um, Everything has gone to hell, and even our liberties. And so that's what we're pushing. And so I am encouraging everyone to get out and start right now. We have to, on November 6th, I don't want anyone to have any regrets and say, well, maybe I should have did this. Maybe I should have listened to Diante when he was talking in June and got involved. Maybe I should have maybe made a couple of phone calls. No, I'm asking you guys right now. It is so critical. I don't think you guys understand. If you're not out there, you're not understanding. It is so critical that we get out there and we fight. Everyone, if you can't knock doors, make phone calls. If you can't make phone calls, write a check. If you can't write a check, call up a couple of people and say, hey, do you want to go knock doors? There's a group called the Black Conservative Federation. There's a group called Moms for America, Moms for Liberty. Join some organization that has boots on the ground and get people out there. That is the only way that we're going to change this. It's going to take everybody. And I promise you guys that on November 10th, Jackie, Nicole, keep this date, keep this date, make sure this date, I'll make sure that Christian put this in my calendar. On November 10th, I will gladly come and talk to you guys again. And I will say, listen, thank you guys all so much for changing America. Thank you guys all so much for reelecting President Donald Trump and saving America and evicting Joseph R. Biden and Kamala Harris. I'm gonna open, I'm gonna open up I'm gonna open up the floor for questions. I don't like to gripe too long because I want to hear what you guys have.
Well, that was amazing, Diante. Thank you so much for coming. I commend you as another young person who ran for office at a very young age. It's really great for you to share that testimony as well. And all of the women that are a member of the National Federation of Republican Women or a member of a virtual club in their own state that are on this call are a part of an organization that does have boots on the ground. You know, National Federation of Republican Women has so many programs and ways that you can get involved. So if you feel inspired by what Diante has just shared, you already are a member of an organization that's doing that. So just let us know if you feel called to get involved. Send us an email and we'll connect you with the people that can help you get involved in an organization that you're already involved in. So thank you for helping me share that subtle plug to the things that NFRW is already doing. We have quite a few questions from several of the different members. I'm going to start off with kind of a fun one. Your organization had 3 different vice presidential picks at your recent gala, I guess. And so someone was wondering if you were President Donald Trump, who would you be picking for your VP?
Part of me wants to say that I'll be picking Deontay Johnson, but um, so unfortunately, I am biased. I would pick our chairman of the Black Conservative Federation, Congressman Byron Donalds. If I had to make the choice right now, that's who I would choose.
I love Byron. He's a great guy. And then I participated in actually an event called Blexit at the White House when I was a White House intern. And one of the questions that we had was why, do you think, or maybe what specific policy actions do you think have garnered so much support amongst Black men for President Trump, especially in this election cycle? Because I remember back in 2020, there was a lot of racist rhetoric surrounding being a Trump supporter. And so I find it really interesting because that event was covered in the media very negatively. And so what are you seeing in your position as the reason why so many, especially young Black men, are getting involved in becoming conservatives?
Well, Black men are tired of being forgotten. They have been forgotten and ignored for years. And the Democratic Party has continued to do it. They've pushed Black men out of the household, and they've told Black women that, you don't need a man in the house, you don't need a husband. The government will take care of that. They've pushed Black men out of the education system, where when we talk to Black men, they don't know what their children are being taught. And the other day I'm knocking doors and I'm here in Pennsylvania, and I was talking to a gentleman and I said, "Are you aware what your child is being taught in school? Are you aware that your child is being taught that he does not have to conform to a gender, that your son does not have to be a man, he doesn't have to be a boy, he can be a girl if he chooses to." You would have thought that I just told him that his mother died. I told him that, "Are you aware that your son is being taught about homosexual activity in sexual education? Are you aware that your fourth grader is being taught about masturbation? Are you aware that your children are being taught that they can identify themselves as pronouns, and that they're not that they taught that you're aware that your child is that you and your wife are not being referred to as parents anymore, but you're referred to as legal guardians? That you're aware that in the education system in a lot of states that you can't use the term mom or dad in the schools. And when I said that to him, he was furious. He was furious. Um, but then I went and I had a conversation about criminal justice system, how they've pushed Black men out of society. Kamala Harris, when she was governor of California, had a tough on Black men crime reputation. Joe Biden with his 1994 crime bill. And every step of the way, they've tried to remove Black men from the equation. Then I went deeper and I started to talk about historic Black men are at the bottom of every list that you'll name. They're at the bottom of the education. They're the least educated group in America. Black men are the least economically stable group in America. Black men reading levels are the lowest in America. Black men's are at the highest of the poverty rate, and they're the highest of the incarceration rate. And I believe that Black men have been fed up. They've been fed up of democratic policies that have been out to sabotage their lives. They've been fed up with these policies, and they're now understanding that the Democrats are not for me. And they're looking at Republican policies and they're saying, listen, I actually agree with this stuff. I agree with the social issues. I agree with the economic issues. I agree that we should be pulling each other up by our boots. We should by our bootstraps and not depending on a system, not depending on the government to take care of us. You know, and that's caused a lot of issues, even when it comes to um, marriages and even when it comes to relationships, because women have known that, listen, I don't need a man because the government will take care of me. I don't need a man in the house because I know that the government will take care of me. And so therefore I don't need you and you can, and we don't have to be together. And this is reality. And this is where we've been. And so Black men are coming over because they're looking at Republican policy and they're saying, listen, liberal policies have ruined my life. Republican policies have saved my life. And that's why they're coming over.
What about though the portrayal of the in the media of especially President Trump? I think a couple years ago there was this what people called the silent majority, and no one wanted to even in exit polls say who they had voted for in fear of being, told that they were, racist or whatever, name the adjective that they were going to be called. Now in the media, it's almost becoming cool to be a Trump supporter. There's a lot of, more influencers, people in Hollywood, rappers we're seeing now are supporting Trump. What do you think, is different in the media's portrayal this election cycle versus in 2016 and in 2020?
Well, I definitely still believe that we have the silent majority, and I think the silent majority it's going to be bigger than ever. They're still there. They're there. But the silent majority is more diverse this time around. Um, but we have people that are saying, you know what, the hell with it. I'm supporting Trump. I'm supporting the Republican Party, and I don't care who likes it or not. We have rappers and entertainers who are saying, listen, I'm going to support and I'm going to publicly support. If you support me, you don't support me. If you do, so be it. And they're realizing that this is just where we are. They're looking at the future and they're saying, we are in trouble. So we just have to do this. You can hate me all you want. This is who I'm supporting. And so, yeah, the silent, there's still people that I get texts all the time. Hey, I'm supporting Donald Trump. I don't really, I have people who are part of the Democratic Party that still post pro Joe Biden things and text me behind the scenes and say, I got to do this to keep my job. I got to do this to, I'm involved in this, but I'm voting Joe Biden when I get in the polls. Not Joe Biden. I'm voting Donald Trump when I get in the polls. They're doing that, and it's something that people are fear. They're doing it out of fear because the Democratic Party, they're vicious. They are vicious to any black person that decides that they're going to vote Republican. They are vicious to them, and so we're definitely seeing that change.
This is a little bit of a, different topic here. So can you talk a little bit about what inspired you to run for office at such a young age and what got you involved and engaged in this process? And then maybe what the Black Conservative Federation is doing to engage other young Black men.
So I ran for office because when I got involved in politics, I said, where are the young people? I looked around and I didn't see any. I didn't see a true representation of America. I didn't see a representation of anyone under the age of 40. I didn't see that representation. I didn't see that at the local level. And so I said I wanted to get more involved. I wanted to be a voice for the younger generation. And I believe that this is the time now more than ever for the younger generation to get involved while we have some amazing leaders. We have amazing leaders who are veterans in the movement. This is the time to take notes from them. This is the time to not just take the torch from them, but this is the time to understand the issues that they're faced with, understand the challenges that they've had, understand the strategy that they've used, and understand even some of the ideas that they've tried, and take those and keep those in our repertoire so that when we're in leadership and when we're running the show, that we know that, listen, I remember when I got in, I remember so and so tried that years ago and it didn't work. So we can't do that now. But utilizing that, but also utilizing that the biggest voting block right now is Generation Z. It's the biggest voting block right now. And being able to provide insight on how to reach out to them. President Donald J. Trump is using TikTok right now. He's using TikTok. I don't even use TikTok, but he has a TikTok and they're posting on the TikTok very regularly. But that is because there's a Generation Z person that convinced the Trump campaign that they have to reach out through TikTok. That is why and I'm a millennial, and now Generation Z, I don't know what they want anymore. That's why I had to bring Generation Z people onto the team. But we have to continue to keep that going to really understand what this younger generation is, what's relating to them, who's relating to them, and how to relate to them. And so um, we're constantly encouraging young people to run for local office. I'm never encouraging them to run for Congress, by the way, but I'm always encouraging them to run for city council, school board, commissioner seats, and local office. I'm always encouraging people to run locally first. Then, once you've served locally and served in the state house and served in the state senate, then you run for Congress. And never encourage people to run, just pick up and run for Congress, but definitely locally.
I actually was talking to somebody about this next question. There's I don't know what to call him, a radio talk show host, activist that goes by Charlemagne the God. Um, and he recently did some TV time on The View, and kind of had an interesting moment where he wouldn't directly support Trump, but also was bashing Biden. But as a liberal activist, do you see that in your day to day, while you're out there advocating for, more Black young people to get involved or be conservatives or vote conservatively? Are you seeing that pressure and movement? Or, I guess, what do you think about what happened on The View?
So Charlemagne the God is what you call an independent. He doesn't know that, but he's an independent. And there's a lot of you have I can't think of his name right now. Stephen A. Smith is another one where they've stood up to the Democratic Party, they've stood up to the policies, but unfortunately, the Republican Party still hasn't brought them in based on their policies, or there's, and the unfortunate part, and I'm just going to be honest, there's moments when they're itching very close. They're itching very close to join the Republican Party. And then we'll have individuals in the Republican Party that says something crazy and then it pushes them back. And so it's like a pool that they're back and forth because of they just have not found home. They know that there's problems with the Democratic Party, but they know that the Republican, and they know that they may agree with some of the Republican party's politics, but it's just certain things that keeps them away. Actually, I have a best friend who is just like that is really conservative, but it's just politics. There's some actors in the Republican Party that constantly pushes them away. And so that's what we're seeing with Charlemagne the God is that he's being honest, and he's just not seeing he's calling out both sides, and he's calling a spade a spade.
Are there any future policies or actions that you hope to see from the Republican Party leadership, platform changes maybe to maintain or increase support, not only from Black men, but maybe just to make the Republican Party more diverse?
So I don't think necessarily. I mean, I think we're in a great direction when it comes to policies, but I think the issue, and if I could be honest, I think the issue that we have in the Republican Party is not necessarily it's not necessarily the policies. The policies are great, top notch. We've done criminal justice reform. We've done opportunity zones. We've done a lot of things to bring in Black men in the Black community. But unfortunately, we do have actors that don't know how to message. They don't know how to say the right things. They don't know, I'm not going to call out a name, But there is a certain individual that has said some questionable things. You know, saying things like the civil rights movement should have never happened is not going to bring black men to the Republican Party. It's not going to bring any black people to the Republican Party. Saying things like, you know, talk bashing Juneteenth. It's not going to do it. You know, there are just certain things that kind of said that pool that there's people that want to come over. They want to come over, but they cannot defend some of the things that are being said. You know, they cannot defend some of the. I remember there's a congressman, a former congressman from Iowa, that said some very racist things, and we did not. And I say we, the party did not call him out as fast enough, and we didn't call out what was going on, and we didn't. And those are things that really turns Black Americans and even some Latino Americans away from the Republican Party. It's not necessary. It's nothing to do with the policies. It's nothing to do with any of the policies implemented. It's really just the the personalities of some of the personalities. And unfortunately, they push us further back. You know, saying that MLK was not a good person publicly is not something that we're going to bring more black men into the party. Um, and I think that's where we're at. I think it's the messengers that turns people away.
All right. Well, I have two questions left. If any of the women on the call want to submit a question, feel free to direct message it to me.
And
Second,
I want to say one thing to the message. And I say this all the time, and I can't believe I haven't said it. So we have two rules at the Black Conservative Federation. And when you guys are talking, when you guys are outreaching, I want you guys to adopt these rules if you haven't already. So the first thing is we believe in engaging and not enraging. When we're having a conversation, we just want to engage with people. Just like you guys and I are having a conversation, just have a conversation, talk about the policy and not and try to enrage. So many times we're trying to burn down the bridge before we can even get the bridge built. But we want to bring people over to, we want to win people. We don't want to, we always want to trigger the left. You know, sometimes we see people that want to trigger the left. We want to burn down the left, but we want to win them over and bring them in our ranks. In order to do that, we have to engage. The second thing is being able to disagree without being disagreeable. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to have a difference of opinion. That doesn't mean that a person is brainwashed. That doesn't mean that a person is an Uncle Tom. That doesn't mean that a person is on a Democratic plantation. That just means that they disagree with that policy. It doesn't mean that they're less of a person. And so we have to be able to disagree without being disagreeable. And the last thing is, I tell people this is that let's be solutionists. Because when you're solutionist, it doesn't matter how much of a Republican you are. It doesn't matter how much of a conservative you are. It doesn't matter. It's that solutions, when we discuss solutions, conservative principles always win. They just always win because we have the right policies. So let's just talk solutions. I tell left liberals all the time is I said, listen, I say that a Bernie Sanders supporter is no different than a Trump supporter. They want the same exact thing. There's nothing different that a Bernie Sanders supporter wants that a Trump supporter doesn't want. And I challenge them all the time. I say, I defy you to tell me that you care more about children when this is when they were talking about children being locked up at the border. I defy you to tell me that you care more about children being locked up at the border and you care more about children than I do. Because if that's the case, um, you'll be supporting pro-life policies. You'll be supporting children being able to read at a certain grade level and be able to do math at a certain grade level. I defy you to tell me you care more about poverty in America because I believe it. I believe that the only thing that is going to change poverty in America is a capitalist society. I defy you to tell me that you care more about the economy in America when you're constantly wanting to tax everyday Americans? We want the same thing, but it's just the policies. It's just the policies. And that's the conversations that we have to have. Sorry about that. Okay.
No, that was great. So I'm glad you interrupted me. I love good interruptions that contain helpful insights because I think that's such good advice, especially, I don't like when people say that the Republican Party is a big tent, but I think it is important to, when we do have 50, 60, 70% of the things that we agree on and maybe we disagree on, 20 to 40% to not push people out because they're still going to vote for Trump at the end of the day. And that's what really needs to happen in November. But what advice would you give to other Black conservatives who are maybe hesitant to voice their support for Trump or other Republican candidates?
Say that question one more time. It kind of went fast.
What advice would you give to other Black conservatives who are hesitant to be vocal or voice their support for President Trump or other Republican candidates?
I've gotten this question a lot in the last couple of weeks from media and individuals. My advice is to be free in America. Be free in America. Um, we be a free thinker. It is okay to have an opinion. It's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to support someone. There is no crime. There is no crime in being a Republican. There's no crime in being a Trump supporter. There is no crime in supporting the future of America. There's no crime in that. And so I tell people all the time, listen, you have to be brave. There is no one as tough as a Black Republican. There's no one as tough as a Black Republican. And when I'm talking to Black men all the time and I say, listen, I thought you were tough. I thought you were strong. Are you going to let a Democrat tell you, are you going to let someone who lives in their parents' basement, someone who like let's talk about your stereotypical Democrat. We're going to let someone who lives in their parents' basement, spends 20 hours at a coffee shop, tell you that you can't support someone? Are you going to let them do that? You have to be strong. And sometimes I'll tell them, I say, listen, I thought you were strong enough for this, but it look like you're not strong enough for this, so you might want to stay a Democrat. Then they'll instantly come over and say, you know what, you're right. I'm strong, I'm tough, I can do this. I'm like, yeah, you can do this. You can do this. You can support whoever you want to support. And that is and I've been telling Black men, take ownership of your household again. Take ownership of your households again. Be the leaders of your household because the Democratic Party has removed that so that they could win elections. But you can take ownership of your households again. So that's what I tell them.
And that is such great advice. I think other young people that maybe aren't from minority backgrounds need to hear that too. Just from being a young person in general can be hard, but
Everyone.
I think it's applicable to a lot of us. Or maybe you're older and a female and white, and you live in a neighborhood that is predominantly liberal. That advice applies as well. And so, thank you so
Don't
much.
be afraid. Don't be afraid to have the Trump sign in your yard. Don't be afraid to have the Trump flag in your yard. Listen, the hell with them. The hell with them. You're supporting America. The hell with them. I'm telling you guys, do not be afraid. Put it on your social media. Say it, say it, listen. And if they tell you that you're racist for supporting Trump, tell them that a Black man told you that you can support Trump.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank
So
you so much
listen, the
for
hell with them.
being here today. If do you have any other closing thoughts that you'd like to share before we head out?
I just think you guys are all awesome. I think you guys are all awesome. I see Jill from West Virginia is there. I just know, I feel like you guys are just family. Call me anytime, guys. Call me anytime. Let's talk. Let's just have some one-on-one conversations. Let's figure out how we can save America, one voice at a time. And listen, you guys are You guys are troopers. You guys are troopers. You guys can do it. I believe that we're talking about black men, but I believe that we're going to change America. I believe that this, we're here in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, and you guys know that the suburban woman's vote is very important. It's very important, and we need everyone to reach out to them and let them know that, listen, if you care about the future of your children, you have to vote Republican. I don't understand why the suburban women's vote has went so far to the left when the policies of the future of their children is just ridiculous. The children are not being taught well. There's so much hatred. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. But I believe that you guys are the voice for that, and you guys can change that. I wish I could spend 5 hours with you guys today. And we just, pop open a glass of wine and just have some good conversations. But I got to go out and be productive. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for your time, Diante. Really appreciate it. And thank you all for what you're doing for our country. And let's all work together to win in November.
Thank you.